Previously on Kenshi. Welcome back, guys. As you know, last time we passed the bill abolishing slavery in the land of Kenshi. I also took out my anger and frustration on the leader of the free world. In hindsight, I should have at least turned him in for money if I was just gonna kill him. But as I was contemplating this, I realized that I don't think it would have mattered, since everyone on this godforsaken planet hates me. Having put two and two together, I realized that I pretty much screwed myself out of ever being able to capture bounties in this game, since I have nowhere to turn them in, which kind of sucks. What if I did want to be a bounty hunter? That's why I've decided to make my own place where I can turn in bounties and force visitors to pay a fee so I can get my money back. Almost like my own little freak show, they gotta pay to get in and oogle at them. Enter ALCATRAZ Island. This island is located just outside the Crablands with absolutely zero foot traffic and literally no way to get there besides 8 hours of swimming. So I commenced doing what humans do best, which is turning this untouched land where crabs and other wildlife roam freely into an industrialized territory that promotes foot traffic. This maximum security prison boasts a double wall solution around the prisoners and the yard, making it twice as difficult for them to escape. While here, they mine rocks as punishment or lift weights out in the yard. They've got a communal hygiene building where they can bathe and shit, but our prisoners spend most of their time in the cells at the top of the building where they're exposed to acid rain multiple times a day. The plan is simple. I want to collect as many bounties as possible before the other towns do, since they all hate me. Luckily, over time, mOnke has written down the names of a couple people we've heard about in passing or taken down posters at bars, giving us a nice starting point. So I assembled a small squad of bounty hunters and went out for a small bounty that I figured would be easy, Razor. Now I've seen Razor before in an earlier episode, so I know that he lives in a nearby bar in the Deadlands. Unfortunately, even after hiking all the way down our tunnel and through the Deadlands, we arrived to find the bar empty, void of anyone named Razor. But I've already walked this far, so I opened up mOnke's book of bad boys once again, and decided to go after Savant the Skin Eater. According to his poster, he's somewhere around the Forbidden Zones south of the Great Desert, which is pretty close to where we already are. So after wandering the desert aimlessly for a while, we finally came across an interesting landmark, a creepy outpost, which maybe just shows that there's something wrong with me internally, but it sounds like a place I just can't pass up. I have to go look at it. And upon further inspection, this place looks like it's straight out of the Borderlands series, with the fire cannons and the people walking around in skin suits. It's just what I imagined based on the poster, and I think we're in the right place. But after entering multiple buildings and not seeing anyone special, I was starting to doubt myself. Maybe I was in the wrong place, and I wanted to walk away, but something told me to check one more building. Initially, I tried talking to him, but before I could even start our conversation, I was getting catcalled by the other skin people. So I decided to leave any character with skin outside of the compound and go back in with just one robot. After pretending to pledge allegiance to him, we had a new alliance, which meant I could basically do whatever I want and recreate the technique we used on Tin Fist in the last video. And with our first bounty easily defeated and secured on our back, we could begin the journey home. While heading home, we fell a little off the beaten path and wandered into Gut, land of the beak things, where I discovered a peculiar shack. Now, Gut is not really a place that anyone would want to live in, so it's a little weird that somebody has a shack here, and I had to check it out. When I arrived, I was delighted to see that this was someone with a bounty on their head. They go by the name No Face and claim to have run away from society to avoid paying taxes and dealing with politics. Despite our personal values aligning, if you have a bounty on your head, I legally have to hunt you down now. So after defeating him and capturing him, we made our way home for real. Admittedly, I don't really feel like walking all the way to Alcatraz, so I took a break in my base, built some temporary holding cells for them, and decided that we could leave them here in the meantime while we track down our other bounties. Hey there, sorry to interrupt the video. If you're enjoying what you're watching and you want to see more, I'm going to be streaming soon, so go follow me on Twitch and subscribe on YouTube to be notified when that happens. Back to the video. Okay, now that we've accidentally wandered into a skin cult and stole their most prominent leader, I feel like we should lay low and do something a little easier. Gutterhead has a small bounty and lives in Venge, which is pretty close to where we live. So I think we'll go after him. This time though, I took the whole squad. The last trip taught me the desert's a lot tougher than I expected, and I'm coming prepared this time. Once we entered Venge, we saw the iconic death beams from the sky. While we were there, we found a new location called the Old Control Tower. But as we got closer, I realized this was more than just an old tower. This place is literally called the Tower of Abuse. The tower is run by two robot brothers, mOnke and Screamer, who also happen to have a fat bounty on their heads. Technically, I came here looking for Gutterhead, but I couldn't let these criminals walk freely with a bounty. So we ransacked their base, defeated and captured mOnke, and then took on Screamer the False by himself. Having defeated both of the Voodoo brothers, I looted their tower and freed a robot that they had prisoner upstairs. After that, I decided to immediately book it home because I had two bounties on me that I didn't want to lose, and there was a way bigger fight there than I was expecting. I literally said I wanted something easy, and then I run into the two kings of every thrall in the desert. And we didn't even get the bounty that I actually wanted to do. So I went back out to Venge, where I fumbled around in the desert for a couple hours looking for Gutterhead. Eventually, I found a tower that I was super excited to go look at, but quickly found out when I showed up that it was destroyed and useless. But right after that, I found the tower I actually was looking for, which, to be honest, on the inside, didn't look that much different from the piece of shit tower I just left. Luckily, this time, we actually managed to find the guy I was looking for. Gutterhead. Gutterhead leads a faction known as the Scavengers, and after breaking in and breaking some legs, he just collapsed randomly like he had a heart attack. But for us, that meant a job well done. We could start heading home to do this all over again the next day. So after returning him to our holding cells, I consulted mOnke's magical pocket of bounties one last time, because there's still one bounty that I haven't done yet that I've been putting off for too long. If I am to truly demonstrate that I'm the greatest bounty hunter in the land, I have to take on the King Gurgler. But if you've ever played Kenshi before, you know that it's very easy to get sidetracked sometimes, which is how I ended up walking over to an old prison on the way down to the Fishman Island. So after breaking in, I climbed the ramp cautiously. You never know with these things. Sometimes they're filled with killer robots, sometimes they're filled with skin spiders. But once I got in, I saw that the building was actually filled with gorilla guards. Gorillas in this area aren't too unusual, but what is unusual is the massive throne on the second floor. That plus the third floor, which happens to be filled with 20-something gorilla bandits that are all sleeping. Putting all this together, I realized I might be in the faction HQ of the gorilla bandits, which would be my third time accidentally walking into an HQ. These gorilla bandits are led by a man named Gorillo, to no surprise, but ultimately, as a certified bounty hunter and an idiot that's already broken into this place, it's pretty obvious what I had to do. Starting from the bottom, I cleared the tower floor by floor and made my way up to the top, where I commenced battle with their great leader, who mostly just spent the time insulting me for being so small and tiny. To be fair, I did break into his house, so I guess I deserved that. Either way, we put an end to his shit talking and threw him on our backs. Don't worry though, I haven't forgotten about our true goal of taking down the Gurgler, so we headed straight there with the Gorilla King in tow. There's a single bridge that connects the outer world to the Fishman Island, and it's the worst fucking bridge in the game. Your characters just randomly fall through it, or jump into the water and start swimming. So I just decided to cut out the middleman and make everyone swim on my own. Once we were on land, it didn't take us long to recognize the location and identify the presence of Gurglers. Gurglers are these gross little fish guys that walk around in this area, and according to this conversation on the wiki, the skeletons created the fishmen. Or the fishmen created the skeletons. I guess we'll have to see in Kenshi 2. Regardless, we were warned to be quiet, so we began sneaking across the island. That, of course, did not last very long, as I'm sure you can imagine 100 people in heavy armor are not very sneaky, and a massive group of Gurglers attacked us right away. The Gurglers themselves aren't that hard to defeat. There's just so many of them. There's probably over 1,000 on this island, if I'm being honest. So my idea was to start heading towards the center, looking for an HQ or a leader to maybe stop them from spawning. Although the town that I found was broken down and old, and I wasn't really convinced that this was the place I was looking for. But I saw this armored Gurgler with a sword, known as the Alpha Gurgler, and I thought for sure that we had him. I was so excited. I began ransacking the town. I'm running around, hitting every Gurgler I can see, and then realizing that there's multiple of the Alpha Gurglers. So I guess the Alpha Gurglers are just reinforced warriors and not the king. And this town probably isn't the HQ. So after beating up these helpless citizens for no reason, I left and looked for a different building that might be the HQ. After wandering around the island some more, I saw a massive tower in the distance. And considering every other bounty today, A tower is a really good sign. So after approaching and inspecting the tower, I found that on the first floor there were some skeleton beds and skeleton shredders, and on the second floor there was a robotics workbench and a bunch of electronics. So maybe the fishermen did actually create the skeletons. Or maybe they're robots themselves. I don't know. But on the top floor, that's when I saw him. The King Gurgler. A man truly beyond comprehension, 10 feet tall, and not only that, but he's in a circle being worshipped by the other gurglers. But I'm not scared of him. You know I had to come in and rain on their parade. Honestly, all I've done today is walk into people's homes and kill them or kidnap them. I thought I was the good guy, capturing criminals and putting them away, but I might actually be the bad guy. Nah, probably not. That's stupid. Let's just kill this guy.
And you actually do have to kill him, unfortunately. You can't even kidnap him. If you loot his body, you'll see his head, but taking it just kills him right away, and I think he's too big to kidnap. With the Gurgler's head in my pocket, and the gorilla leader still being carried, we began our long trek back home. Last but not least, we had to finally move all the bounties we had captured today from the holding cells that I created in our base to the real Alcatraz island that we have built for them, where they will spend the rest of their lives getting rained on by acid rain and getting eaten alive by crabs. Let me know if you want me to get more bounties, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and have a great day.